Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have SCP-3008, otherwise known as a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. So, last week we did the SCP of Miss Sweetie. The number is I'm lost on the number. I can't remember. There's so many numbers. Oh, 2396. Which was, and the reason we did that one was because we got an email from a listener who wanted us to do some SCPs. And on top of Miss Sweetie, they also want us to do this one. So thank you for suggesting a creepypasta or an SCP. So anybody else out there who'd like to suggest a creepypasta or SCP for us, please send us emails or comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Yeah, so that's why we're doing SCP-3008. SCP-3008 is by Mortos on scp-wiki.wiki.com. No, hang on. scp-wiki.wiki.com.
My favorite website.
Otherwise known as the official SCP Foundation website. And before we dive into the rundown and our notes and such, let's do our initial recommendations. I'm going to recommend it.
I will also recommend it.
I will also recommend.
Very interesting. All right.
Now we're going to get through this, and then through our notes, we'll all not recommend it anymore.
Yeah.
We'll find
find something that's just the crux that just
Yeah.
kills it completely for us. Yeah. I mean, how can you be mad at IKEA?
Watch me.
All right, so let's dive into the rundown then. SCP-3008 is an IKEA that, when someone enters the main entrance, and only the main entrance, they slip into a new dimensional space that is effectively an infinite IKEA interior. And once they're in, there's no real way of getting out because it is very hard to escape as the entrance within moves and shifts around unpredictably. Only a few people seem to have managed to escape the building, and they have been debriefed and amnesticized by the Foundation before being released. The Foundation has this IKEA building securely cordoned off from the general public, and even local road access has been cut off around the area. Within this liminal IKEA space, there is a day-night cycle as the lights turn on and off by the operation hours. So, like, as soon as 10 o'clock rolls around, all the lights just shut off, and it's nighttime until, like, 9 the next morning. One person who escaped was chased outside the building and killed by a staff member, otherwise known as by the Foundation as SCP-3008-2. And actually, I'll preface that the interior space of SCP-3008 is designated SCP-3008-1. But yes, this guy escaped the building while being chased by one of these staff members before it was killed by Foundation forces. And the poor escapee had a journal on them he had been keeping of his time while in the IKEA space. And those logs are in the entry for viewing, and they basically chronicle the guy's like 6 or 7 month survival, 6 or 7 month like life of surviving inside the IKEA, and his experiences with like various settlements of people who had also found themselves trapped inside the IKEA. The staff members, who are these like faceless, malformed humanoids that wear IKEA staff like uniforms, and are usually pretty docile during the daytime or the day hours, but as soon as the lights go out, they ravenously hunt down humans that are trapped inside the IKEA, all while calmly stating things like, "The store is closed. The store is now closed. Please go to the exit." Meanwhile, they're like ravenously like killing them or brutalizing them and such. So our poor escapee, who I don't think we ever actually get a name for, they're just the journal guy.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
He was surviving with a bunch of other survivors for some time in a settlement called Exchange, because all the settlements in the IKEA space are named after the signage that is directly above it.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it is actually a
And
really
also
cool
really
thing.
smart.
Yeah. So you got like Exchange, you got like Checkout, or like services or something.
Oh, there's probably one that's just bathrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. That would actually be the smartest way, like place to like set up as a survival point, because like you have like indoor plumbing.
That's true.
But I digress.
And a place to shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah. But yeah, so after some time, like the last entry of the journal notes that like the settlement Exchange had been damaged beyond repair, beyond safe repair, by a wave of staff attacking. And so the people had to flee and hope to reach another settlement before nightfall and such. And I mean, this guy had been pretty lucky up until his demise, based on his encounters and such inside the IKEA. But sadly, his luck ran out. And that's basically the end of the entry and the journal entries. Both the journals and the SCP Foundation's like entry on this entity. So, Finn. So now we'll move on to everyone tolerates the Grand Inquisitions. At this point, I've actually got a few, mostly from the journal entry. And yes, I'm going to be that guy who's like, it's the way the guy wrote, but like I can still make fun. I can still like tinker with it.
Okay, just remember, it does say this was copied verbatim.
Yes.
It
so
specifically says that.
Yes. So like I know it's the way the character writes, like, and they probably aren't like they aren't worrying too much about like poor literacy and such. But I'm still gonna. I only got 2. Okay, so
fine.
So gonna start with this one here. During the night instance. Oh yeah. During the night instances of SCP-3008-2. Oh no, this is actually not from the journal. Sorry, this is the one before the journal. Sorry, this is one from before. This is actually in the main entry. This first one. During the night instances of SCP-3008-2, will become violent towards all other life forms within SCP-3008-1. Okay, so I feel like there needs to be a comma after night. So it's like during the night, comma, instances of SCP-3008-2 will become violent towards all other life forms within SCP-3008-1. Because when I kept reading it, and I kept saying, like, I kept reading it as during the night instances of SCP-3008-2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So that's the one I found in the...
That is also a thing, like...
Yeah, it could be a night instance. Yeah, it is a night instance. Like they do have a night instance where they go feral or go like hunter killer mode. So, and then the other one I have is from the journal. And again, I know it's a transcription. It's the way the character wrote, but fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's 9:10 a.m. now. The lights came back on a little while ago. So it's 9:10 a.m. There's a period between 9 and 10, and it needs to be a semicolon.
Oh.
Yes, I'm gonna be that guy. It's like technically like maybe like the upper period or the upper dot was like faded or something, and so the transcriptor didn't like see it. But still, gonna be that guy
when he was doing that, and he forgot to finish it.
Exactly. I actually think it would be really cool if they like one of these days. I want an SCP entry. Like I know I'm asking a lot, like for somebody to like do this, like go out of their way and do this, something like this. But I legitimately want, like, if they're gonna have like a like these kind of like documents,
Written document.
I would love to see a like photography of the actual like journal pages. Like
Yeah.
somebody put in that work to like actually have journal pages of like that were transcribed. You can still have the transcriptions for clarity, but like actually have the photos of the actual like document that they
Yeah.
transcribed from. That would be really
Because
cool.
when it's something like a creepypasta and we're talking about, oh, they need to do Photoshop of a monster in the woods or something, like that's one thing. But if it's just words on a piece of paper, like we all have the ability to write mostly, and we all have paper and pencils mostly. So it is entirely plausible and relatively quote unquote easy to just do that. Although that would be a lot of writing. The amount that he did.
I mean, it could also like that's also like I know a lot of people when they do creepypastas and SCP entries, like it is all digital format, but like there's a lot of writers out there like that write creepypastas, myself included, although I haven't posted anything yet. Where I use like a pencil to paper like rough draft sort of like format first before I digitize it.
Yeah.
So like it's already there. Like like it could already be there. Like but yeah, that's honestly the one those are the two noteworthy grammar inquisitions that I found. So and again, otherwise, like, yeah, the entries are like the guy's writing it down. So like I'm not gonna give him too hard of a pass or like too hard of a time about like poor literacy or like poor grammar. And honestly, there wasn't too much otherwise. So yeah, I
didn't
let it go.
see any actual like straight up grammar issues considering.
There were a couple of instances in the journal where like I think they could have used that comma break again. Like he just kind of like he didn't add a break or something, but like it wasn't like too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my grammar inquisition. So Mikey, D stands for evil.
All right, so the one that I have is thought about shoving it or something to get its attention, but its hands were big enough to crush a watermelon. So I decided against it.
Watermelon?
So,
Wait, was watermelon had a space between it?
yep.
Oh man, I just
They...
like okay, yeah. Okay.
I read right over that.
Yeah. So yeah, that needs to be one word.
Mm. Good find.
Mm-hmm. And then I have a conjunction junction, even though the majority of it is in the journal.
Of course. Again, we're aware it's how the character wrote. We're gonna give him a bit of a pass on it, but we still have to do the format for the show, especially while Mikey's here.
Mm-hmm.
So Mikey, take it away. Insert conjunction junction bit here. Boop.
So, I'm writing this document what I can only assume is my sudden descent into insanity. So, I'm trapped in IKEA. It's 9:10 a.m. now. The lights came back on a little while ago. And hell, maybe it was. Maybe freakish 7-foot tall monsters with long arms, short legs, and no faces are just the kinds of thing they want working at Super IKEA. It just kept moving along, and eventually I lost sight of it, so I decided to carry on the way I was going. So I legged it. And there were beds and food and people. It's now my 7th night here, and the first one not spent in darkness. But after a week with only the sound of my own footsteps for company, I was becoming increasingly sure that I'd just gone nuts. But no, I feel quite sane now, thank you very much. Or maybe it's not everyone. So during the day, people go out to find food, water, and whatever else they need. Or maybe we're all still just in the regular IKEA, and this is all some fever dream brought on by mind-numbing boredom. And of people who see the exit only to have it vanish before their very eyes. And, I mean, come on! And I'm sure I felt more resistance than just skin when the knife went through it during the night. But everything is always cordial. It was awful, frankly. It occurred to me a couple of days after that none of us were really looking for a way out of here. But apparently some of the people here have some seriously odd gaps in their knowledge. It's comforting, in a way. It's already getting late, though. But then, how often can I keep getting lucky? It is assumed that while attempting to reach the checkout settlement, he was separated from the rest of his group by pursuing SCP-3008-2 instance and happened upon the exit. Finn.
Okay, I need to comment on some things there. First off, the beginning of that was like, it was really pushing, like the way you were reading it and the way like you set it up. It's like it really is kind of pushing for like they are just crazy and they're like and of super boredom inside an IKEA. So like they're just like hallucinating and stuff. But then like then there's the part where like some people even saw like the exit right before and then it vanished in front of their eyes. And then it's like, and I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like I imagine that was like them saying that toward and like and then like everyone's being so cordial. And it's like I hate it.
Yeah, basically.
Also it got like
This guy's basically a shit disturber.
Yeah.
He wants conflict.
Yeah. And then things like escalate to like things got real dark when he's like it's like and there I definitely felt more than skin when I put it through the knife when I put the knife through it. It's like, oh,
who did you just stab?
Yeah, and I'm just picturing again like
I need to create some drama here.
Yeah.
How about that Ted guy? No one likes him. There we go.
And then because like he died, like he becomes part of the hallucination, so it's like all they find is just like his skin. They don't see the blood or the gore or the viscera inside the flesh. Yeah, the IKEA is actually just see. What's funny is like they're like it's like, oh, it's like maybe it's just some like mass hallucinations. Like maybe the IKEA's like gas main is just like leaking somewhere, and so it's just like pumping in like gas that's like affecting everybody. But yeah, that was quite the trip.
A little bit.
Gamer, you gonna do the bit?
Oh, yeah, and for those unaware, Mikey does these strings of sentences to highlight all the sentences in a story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ands, or buts, because there's always better words.
Yes. Sorry, you're the one that does that, so I was surprised that you forgot to do it.
I mean, I occasionally forget.
That's fair. And I guess next up we have Gamer. What is the grammar in yellow for you?
Let's see. I believe I do have a couple.
Did we all just like, all right, we know it's transcripted, but like, fuck it, we're still doing it.
Not really. First one, I don't know if it's grammar or not. I guess it is. It might just be my own ignorance of not being able to understand or even find the proper definition of this word, but regardless. Current measurements indicate an area of at least 10 kilometers square with no visible external terminators detected in any direction. So, I get what it's saying. It's basically saying that there's no doors or windows to the outside. However, I couldn't find any documentation online about that wordage, and I've never heard that wordage before. Any Googling I did just brings me to stuff talking about electrical connectors. Like, is this the right term?
Of Terminators, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assumed that it was like they couldn't find basically the like the Terminator was effectively like the limits of the dimensions. But I didn't like that. That's about as much as I that's basically how I kept reading after it. Like it's like, okay, I guess that's just like that means like they couldn't find the limits of the space. But
No, what really is, it's about time travel. They couldn't find any Terminators outside of it.
I was really hoping we weren't going to go with the robot attack. I mean that's clearly that's what the staff are. They're just Terminators. They're the the staff are the T10s.
No, they're the TDKs because they're tall and have long arms.
Oh my god, it's Donkey Kong mode.
They don't have huge heads though. That being said,
yeah, no, they don't have huge heads. They just have they're slender. You know, like honestly, what they reminded me of, like I saw some images of like when I Googled this because like Google Images popped up partially. It's like Slender Man, but like also like basically they're living mannequins inside from like the IKEA.
So it's Canadian show Mannequin Comes Alive.
Today's special. Yeah. Yeah, today's special has twice in a week, like 2 times in the same, or like
wait,
like that's the second time in like two episodes that we've brought up today's special.
We should bring it up every episode. We should work it in all the time.
We honestly should, guys. You want to do an al dente real talk about today's special?
Today's special.
I mean, like just like watch a couple of episodes and then talk about it.
Yeah. No, we'll see.
Because it is kind of creepypasta if you think about it. Like it's kind of horrifying. Like it's could definitely have a horrifying like creepypasta angle if you think about it. Like
yeah, it's like the angle that you go in at it with.
Yeah,
could be horrifying, or it's just he's alive now, yay! Like it's a kid's show, like whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we should do an al dente real talk sometime. If anybody out there is listening and wants us to do an al dente real talk on our Patreon for today's special, please let us know in the via an email or in the comment section below.
Also, all that being said,
yes,
I'm wondering if maybe it means terminations, no external terminations or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, because like I know terminate. Sorry, not to cut you off. I don't. But
it's fine.
In outer space, like in our solar system, the farthest, like the very limits of our solar system are called the termination shock. So like that is like those are like that's basically the boundary of the solar system. Like once you leave that, it's basically the I think it's basically the farthest boundary of the stars like gravitational like influence.
Yeah.
So like once you're out of there, you're effectively out of the solar system once you've passed the termination shock of a solar system. So maybe that's what it meant, or like not like obviously not the solar system thing, but like it means like they couldn't find the outer boundaries of the space.
I'm assuming it's doors, man.
Maybe it could be
like
doors.
It's talking about visible external terminators. Like you wouldn't necessarily see the line where the anomalous IKEA ends and the normal one starts again, like, but you would potentially see a door or a window out.
Maybe that's it, but
I don't know. But either way, with no additional information, the only way to go was expecting some new form of Cyberdyne Terminator, is what I actually wrote down.
Yeah, no,
so like maybe the external Terminator is a robot that the Foundation deploys to like locate and retrieve lost humans in anomalous situations, and they called it an external terminator because it does much the same thing as the wiring one. In Wire, external terminators are used to reduce interference, and these do the same thing. They reduce the interference caused by the anomaly, so then the humans can find their way out.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, they were already they're implementing drones. Earlier too, so yeah. And it does
That being
say
said,
any
they
other
sent the
so
go ahead.
any other entities existing, any other entities exiting SCP-3008 are to be terminated. Fucker.
Yes.
Sorry.
Mhm. And yeah, it says that there's no visible external terminators, so they sent them in, and even those got lost.
Yeah.
Hence why they went with the drone to try to get different information, because the external terminators were just lost to the IKEA as well.
Yeah.
That being said, after reading on later, it says that SCP-3008-1 is known to have one or more exits located within those, though these exits do not appear to have a fixed position, making it difficult to leave SCP-3008-1 once inside. So, based on that, I just went, okay, fuck it, they're doors. I'll just move on from there.
Yeah.
Because there is clarification saying that there is a door out. I
Yeah,
guess
it's
they
like-
assume that since people occasionally get out randomly anyways.
Yeah.
But either way, I'll move on. I thought this one, I guess it is a grammar thing, but it's kind of my fault, but it's partially its fault because it gave me the opportunity to make this my fault.
Wow, way to victim blame.
Yeah. But that's fine. A person entering SCP-3... I keep wanting to say 3008, but that's not how you say this, right? God damn it. Okay, a person entering SCP-3008 through the main entrance and then passing out of sight of the doors will find themselves translocated to SCP-3008-1.
God damn it.
So yeah, I kind of had a shot him a glance situation.
Yeah.
Like, because the way I first read that is you walk in the doors and you immediately pass out.
No, out of view. Oh.
Yeah. So maybe it'd be a good idea to swap out the passing out of sight of the doors to something like then losing sight of the doors. Then there's no chance of a hiccup mid-sentence.
Unless as soon as you enter this IKEA, you pass out from some kind of like noxious gas, and then your consciousness enter. So your body is like just down there on the ground, like out, just within the confines of the building, but your consciousness has been teleported to a shared hallucination or like a shared simul space of an infinite IKEA with hundreds of other consciousnesses from poor victims who have also like suffered the same fate.
That's pretty cool.
That would actually be really cool if it's actually like just like a shared like.
Is the body dead or just in a coma?
I would imagine it would be in a coma. Like they're basically like they're just like it just like the brain just or like the consciousness just gets like it either the gas knocks you out and your mind like in the dream space that, of like your kind of coma state like it just kind of links up to this shared dream, or it like straight up just like brain hacks you and takes your consciousness out of your body, so your body is just a hollow shell now, and you are teleported to a simul space that you would not realize is a simul space or is a virtual thing, because for you it would feel very real, although it's still like kind of absurd and still kind of has video game kind of logic to it. So, but yeah,
I wonder if also like yes that.
Yeah.
But also the body, it doesn't get recovered by SCP or nothing. It's laying there as an empty husk on the ground.
Yeah.
And being in the IKEA, it slowly turns into a -2.
Oh.
Like all of its like innards just kind of like puke out of its mouth or something like that.
Jesus.
So it just fills up with just pure skin. And then it just walks to the staff area and gets the uniform and starts going.
But then, like, what happens to that consciousness? The consciousness suddenly get like a physical body?
The consciousness is in like,
in the simul space. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they can still interact with these weird anomalous things.
Oh, so it's like part of like
they're,
partially an ARG kind of thing, where it's like there's a physical element to it, but there's also this infinite space kind of thing that the mind is encountering or dealing with.
Yeah, it's like in Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey. Where where there's potentially like spirits that are able to influence you on both planes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, honestly, like I want to use this for eclipse phase because, like, I can just imagine, like, all right, your characters are going to you're going to this asteroid in the Kuiper Belt because because Firewall believes like this is definitely like a new Titan facility. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? It's like, well, from our outward observations of the site on the asteroid, it appears to be a 20th century IKEA branded retail store, just in space.
Yeah.
And then when you go in, like the characters all like immediately like turn around, like they see like they don't see the entrance anymore. And at that point, the Titan tech, because Titan tech is supposed to be like super advanced and like mind-numbingly like breaks physics, kind of like advanced and like breaks your brain sometimes. So like the transition from teleporting your brain from meat space to simul space is so fluid that you don't even realize that you're already like in the simul space, and your body's just like just like ragdolls onto the ground as soon as you enter the IKEA building.
Yeah.
And then it's slowly being converted by nanites into one of the staff members.
Mm. Hence why there's always more staff members.
Yeah.
That being said, they do kill
A lot.
thousands of them,
And
like,
they don't
more than there are survivors.
Yeah. Well, they clearly, like, again, it's an infinite IKEA interior. So like there's a lot of like physics breaking into this world, this universe, this pocket dimension. But yeah, sorry.
He's fine. Yeah, I'll move on to my next and last one. SCP-3008-2 caught and killed the man before itself, being terminated by armed response personnel.
Man, the shot him, bang, a glance. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is strong today.
It happens a lot in this, it seems.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that made me imagine that the -2 killed the man and then killed itself right after, like maybe because it left the store. It's like, oh no, I'm supposed to be working now.
No, I'm not on my smoke break.
He just like snaps his neck and falls down.
Just like
he pulls out a gun. He said, "Bang."
Yeah,
he specifically has a gun just for killing himself.
Yeah, one bullet.
Yeah.
Although yours is much funnier because morbidly funnier because I'm just picturing that one Mortal Kombat character.
Havoc.
Or Havoc, yeah. Havoc, who just like
or something. He just like breaks his own neck.
Yeah, just snaps his own neck to like taunt you.
I think he heals from it, actually.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. A rewording of that would make it easier to not fuck up like that. As like SCP-3008-2 caught and killed the man before he could be saved by the armed response personnel terminating.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's the end of the grammar in yellow.
Okay. Also, I like to think. Well, you kept like kind of like kept saying 3008. I don't think that's a wrong way of doing it. I think it's just like I think it's just like commonly that like a lot of people just do like 3008 or 2096 or something like that. So, but like I don't, because like they are just number designations for things. So you could technically it could be SCP-3008.
It just sounds weird to me.
It does. Like I will admit, like I think it's cooler to say it as like SCP-3008 rather than SCP-3008, because all I think it was like in the year 3000. Like that's all I hear when I try to say 3008.
Yes. So long story short, you're saying that I'm right in correcting myself.
You're right, but I don't think it's all. But like also like it's not wrong to do like 3008 when referring to 3008.
Yeah,
and like and like similarly to other SCP and numbers, because they are a numbered listing kind of thing. So yeah.
Also, basically, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'll stop being pedantic on this.
It's all good.
And but yeah, I guess we'll move on to actual thoughts. So I'm gonna start with this one here. Special containment procedures. The retail park containing SCP-3008 has been purchased by the Foundation and converted into site redacted. All public roads leading to or passing by site redacted have been redirected. So this like reading this part, like this IKEA thing, it kind of reminded me, oddly enough, of a road in our own town, like our local town, that I used to my family and I used to use like like if not like every couple of days, weekly, to get from like point A
To
to
the
point
IKEA?
B. No, well, not to IKEA, but to like wall, like where the kind of like the shopping, like the shopping district area from like the road that would take us to our cottage and stuff like that. And like it was like basically, if you didn't want to use the highway, you'd get off the highway and take this like this road that like ran alongside the highway down into what is effectively the commercial district of the town.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until like later, like more recently, they installed a newer, better road down the hill from that to basically to accommodate a new university and various other buildings. And they cordoned off. They actually turned like they cut that road off at the end and turned it into a culvert. And they said they were doing it because it was like safer and easier for the highway, though there were rumors that because like a local politician had his house on that road, and because of the university being moved in, he didn't want an increase in traffic down his road, that he had it so that the culvert was created so that he basically he had a nice, like basically a private road to himself with and his neighbors. But like, what if there was some kind, because there were some some businesses along that road. What if one of those businesses, one of those, like, because I think there's like a glass warehouse, like a window warehouse or something, and like a storage unit place. What if one of those was an SCP and they've cordoned it off? Because like no one like as a result, like because since that road has been cut off from like the main road that connects to the highway and such, like I gotta feel bad for like the two or three businesses that were on that road now.
Yeah, they kind of got
like,
screwed.
yeah, they got fucked over potentially by a local politician just wanting to have like less traffic on his road. So
a few less votes now.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just like it had me thinking is like for some much like again last week when we talked about the they hide in the light, where like the whole like turning the lights off and then like running to your room like reminded me of my grandmother's home and like the basement stuff. Again, I was getting kind of like I was able to familiarize to a degree, or I was able to remember something from my own past, and was like, what if that was an SCP? What if I start writing some notes down for this for this thing? So yeah, but I'll move on to the next thing here. SCP-3008-1 is a space resembling the inside of an IKEA furniture store, extending far beyond the limits of what could physically be contained within the dimensions of the retail unit. Current measurements indicate an area of at least 10 kilometers square, with no visible external terminators detected in any direction. Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders has led to the speculation that the space may be infinite. Liminal retail stores, both my worst nightmare and a place I would totes go into.
Because it's your worst nightmare.
Like it's I am a living contradiction, because like what on the one hand, that is nightmarish to me, just like the superliminal mundanity of it. But at the same time, I want to go there so bad. Yeah,
you could go there, but you're not going to leave.
You may not be able to leave.
Yeah.
You can check out every time you want.
I was going to say.
You can check out any time you want, but you can never leave. It's the Hotel California.
Totally.
Yeah. So the next one I have here, the man was carrying an IKEA branded journal, seeming to document his time in SCP-3008-1, transcribed below verbatim. I shouldn't be surprised by this, but God, do I want an IKEA branded journal, like just to own it. Also, I kind of just want to go to an IKEA now. It's been like at least a decade since I went into one.
Was this SCP like marketing from
It
IKEA?
kind of maybe it might have been like it kind of works. It's like it makes me want to go to an IKEA. Also, if you are a fan of this story, if by the end of this, if you guys like, if anybody out there who's listening to us like does enjoy this story, I might also recommend a novel called Horror Store, which effectively is a department store or an IKEA like department store that is haunted by like these strange creatures and stuff, and like the employees have to like deal with it. And it's a really cool like novel because like there's like pages like at every on the start of every chapter that are literally like, advertising for various like products within this like not IKEA store, and they get weirder and more like horrific as the chapters go on.
Nice.
Yeah, it was it's Horror Store. It's written. It uses it's HORRORSTOR, and with an I think it's an umlaut on the O, on the last O. And it's by Grady Hendrix. And honestly, like I loved, like I recently I read it over the pandemic, and it is honestly like fantastic. So, and also reminded me of this. So, but yeah, I digress. I'll continue on with my notes. So this is from the journal entries. Now I'm actually going into like the actual like stuff from the journal entries. I thought it was a prank at first. Turn the place into a maze, get all the people out, and see how long it takes me to get lost. Then everyone has a good old laugh. Realized that wasn't the case when I tried to backtrack. Everything has changed. So I ended up lost. Instead of the exit, I was just row after row. Sorry, it was just row after row of bookcases. So this is the oldest IKEA, apparently, or at least, and by that I mean like an IKEA version of the oldest house from the video game Control.
Oh, okay.
Which is,
I don't understand.
yeah, the oldest house is the building in the game Control that like on the outside it just looks like this giant like brutalist architecture like concrete building in middle of Manhattan, and then when you go inside, it's this constantly shifting like architecture, like rooms change, rooms like are move around, like so it's very hard to like properly navigate it. They're not even sure like what the full limits are of it. It's basically this IKEA building, but it's a like a government building. At least in the game, because like there's also like some deeper lore to it that it's always been there. Like it's been there since like even before the indigenous people of Manhattan, like went onto Manhattan Island. Like back then it was a tree. It was like a great tree rather than a building. So
but it was like open to the interior.
Yeah, like you could go inside like into the root system of this great tree, but like
You can never leave.
then you would like just end up in this weird like root system. I think it's like meant to be like this anomaly is like representative of like, or what we call like Yggdrasil, like the world tree kind of thing. I think there was like some hints of that as to what the oldest tree was mythologically as well. So yeah, it's again liminal. We're talking about liminal spaces and like buildings that are bigger on the inside and changing and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I'm going to bring up Control because Control was heavily inspired by SCP Foundation and that kind of like weird anomaly bullshit. So then we get this part
I don't know
here.
how many liminal spaces are in SCP. This one may have been a direct influence of it.
Oh, because this story came out in like 20, like I think the history of the story was like 2015 at the earliest. No, 2017. So when did Control come out? I think Control came out in like 2018, but so like probably not a direct inspiration because like game would have had a couple of years in the making.
Yeah, for sure.
It came out in it was released in 2019. So like, yeah, it probably wasn't like they might have like looked up. So I have a feeling. I don't think they've ever like brought it up, but I have a feeling that like the people who made Control were definitely fans of SCP Foundation.
Well, yeah, gotta be.
Yeah. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. That's just like us speculating. But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. Phone battery died during the day 2. don't work anyway, or sorry, didn't work anyway, but I feel like I've just lost some vital lifeline. So it does kind of bring it up later, and I'm glad it does, because like I think it might have been interesting if they still had their phone, and like because they were able to find like a charging cable and then use like a power outlet that would for some reason work still in this weird dimensional space.
That's the
Because
least weirdness.
no,
Like,
I
the
know
food
it's
gets restocked. Like, I
yeah.
can totally see that power still works.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like an IKEA carries like charging cables. Like I think most if not all department stores carry some kind of like charging cables, if not like in an electronics department in like on end caps and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Does
like
IKEA have electronics department?
I don't think they have an electronics department.
But either
No,
way,
no,
they
they
probably
have to have like some kind of electronics department for like electronic appliances. But
I guess, yeah.
but again, like
not.
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
But it's not necessarily like entertainment electronics, you know?
Yeah, true. And I just imagine that it's probably like again a strip of charging cables that like are sold on like an end cap kind of thing, like that. Those kind of things you see in retail stores. But yeah, like like him running out of power, like I don't think is like too like it's fine for the story like as is, but like his phone already like isn't like connecting to any kind of Wi-Fi or any kind of like cellular data or anything like that because of this like dimensional space. So like to have him have that like light on it would like I think it would still be just as interesting to have him like still have power to his phone to like use as a flashlight. But
Well, the problem is that unless he specifically turned off Wi-Fi, his phone is constantly searching for Wi-Fi, thus draining the battery.
that's true.
So
Yeah.
it would only last 2 days. Unless he had it on like super energy saving mode, which makes it last like a week on a full charge. But
Yeah. Thank you, tech wizard Mikey. That wasn't a slight against you. I like legitimately thank you for having that insight, making that more plausible. That's like why it went out.
But didn't they like find flashlights anyways? Like,
yeah, they found flashlights, and they found like floodlight, like when he went to settlements, like exchange and even checkout. And there's like a tower in the distance that seems to be some kind of a settlement where like people are trying to like reach the roof. Like people like found like they both found lighting, and they found that they could plug in things to like local power sources, and they still all work. So
yeah, so him having power on his phone wouldn't do anything anyways.
yeah. But I just mean for that initial like part, I don't know, like maybe I'm just being like too like dumb about this, where it's just like, oh, why couldn't you have had a flashlight the entire time? I don't know. I'll stop. Like it's kind of going nowhere with that. And the next thing I have here, I'll call it. So this is in regards to like what he's like thinking about doing his autobiography on this place. Like I'll call it my perfectly normal trip to the regular old IKEA, or to a regular old IKEA. Honestly, if this journal entry that we get in this SCP entry had been posted separately on like a website like creepypasta.wiki as like a standalone story, that would legitimately be that would be the title of it. Right there. Like, that'd be the title of the creepypasta. My perfectly normal trip to a regular old IKEA. And then it'd be a journal formatted creepypasta of a guy who's trapped inside of a dimensional IKEA. Then the next thing I have here, it's now my 7th night here, and the first one not spent in darkness. A full week living in IKEA. There's probably a TV show in that somewhere. And all I gotta say for that is I would watch the shit out of a weird horror survival show about people trapped inside of a liminal retail space. Again,
done that already.
I'm honestly I'm surprised. Like it's like that is
like,
a
back rooms being huge-ish right now.
Back rooms being huge right now, and like the SCP Foundation kind of promoting these kind of like weird spaces as well. The idea of like, because like I don't think I'm alone in like thinking that like an endless, like trapped inside of an endless retail store as a nightmare fuel. Like that is like a mundane, like terrifying concept.
You stuck anywhere infinitely, like
Yeah, but
it's
specifically
horrible.
like a retail store. Like imagine getting trapped in a Walmart that never ends.
Yeah, but you could survive there.
You could, but like, and then, but like,
Imagine you get stuck in like just a bunch of cubicles of your office. Like
yeah,
that'd be for your survivability. That'd be way worse because there's
yeah,
in a Walmart. There's literally everything.
yeah. But I mean, like, there's still like, but that's when you add in like the monsters, like a few like weird like a few like monsters that are kind of like themed to the department store. Again, like I think like I'm surprised that, but that is a common nightmare I think of people, is getting like being trapped forever. Like it's like let's say like I don't want to be trapped in this hell in this retail hell forever. Like that legitimately would be like that is a common nightmare for people is being stuck in that daily doldrum.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck in this like almost like it's kind of got the same vibe as like a post-apocalypse, in that like there's only a few people left. And like, yeah, there's a ton of resources, but you're also you're also thinking about the isolation of like being like one of the few people there. Maybe like for the first few episodes or so, it's just the one guy, and then he finds the settlement, and then the settlement gets destroyed. Again, the story kind of like felt like kind of a post-apocalyptic genre in itself, because these people are living inside of this like weird retail wasteland with like monsters that lurk in the dark, at night. So, yeah, would watch the shit out of it. Is basically my my comment to that. And then the next thing I have here. Apparently, there are other towns out there, some with more. Hang on, let's try to figure out what the hell. Oh yeah. Apparently, there are other towns out there, some with more people, some with less. I found that fairly mind-boggling. How can that many people go missing with no one noticing? Surely someone would have noticed that everyone who goes to IKEA seems to fucking vanish. Now, it does go on to explain kind of explain why like there isn't like a mass search or like hunt down of like or shut down of IKEAs, because people are just vanishing when they enter them. Like there is sort of like an explanation later on in the story. However, at this point I was like, so maybe not an IKEA perhaps, but this could be an interesting idea for a story to suggest parents who go to get milk or cigarettes at the corner store and never come home in a supernatural light. Like, no, they wanted to come back. They were planning on coming back home. They just fell into a liminal drugstore / convenience store space and couldn't get out. The story could even be called Inconvenience.
Wow.
Welcome to my my plot growers episode, where we're gonna discuss how to we're gonna discuss the ideas for this new creepypasta I'm working on. Legitimately though, I might actually look into that and look into writing that.
That's a cool title for it too.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like not a because like when you say it's like how can so many people go like go to an IKEA and go missing like this? Like how's that go unnoticed? I was like, it had me. I was like, well, I mean, there's a lot of people that go missing in the world and stuff like that, in like even in like a country, yearly. And it's like, and then I started thinking about like people like the whole that saying of like where like a parent like never came home, mostly because like they were like they just like abandoned their families and such. But like there's that saying of like, oh, my mom went to go get milk from the corner store and never came home, or my dad went to go get cigarettes from the corner store and never came home. And that's when it like kind of clicked in my head. It's like, what if they wanted to come home? But they slipped into the back rooms. they slipped into the stock rooms. But yeah, so I'll move on to the next thing here. Apparently they aren't very good. So this is in regards to the narrator of the journal entry, the journalist, I guess, is talking about the staff. Apparently they aren't very good at their jobs, though, because sorry. Apparently they aren't very good at their jobs, though, because the restocking sometimes takes a while, which means the food needs to be rationed. Maybe if they weren't so busy chasing people around in the dark, they'd get more done. I mean, I know they're monsters, but speaking as a former retail employee, maybe you assholes shouldn't have gotten stuck in the liminal IKEA. It shouldn't be their job to hunt you idiots down after hours. Sorry, getting a little bit of a Wally World Nom flashback.
You say I was victim blaming.
Hey man, I just like there's victim blaming and then there's asshole customer. There's Karen customers.
Uh-huh. So you're taking this in the realm of the Night of the Consumers video game?
Yes.
Do you know of that one?
Yes, I do.
Where you play as a store clerk just trying to stock the shelves, and every time someone comes by, they're like, "Excuse me," and you have to like, run away from them.
Or help them, and then you have like a limited time limit. Yeah, that's fucking nightmare fuel. Like again, that gives you that's like a whole flashback of like people of just like the whole like group of people who work at retail stores. Like you get it, you get that horror. But I digress. I'll move away from my Nom flashbacks to the next one here. The IKEA, from whence all other IKEAs sprang. Like I said, the oldest IKEA. But yeah, so move on to the next one here. It was just basically connected to the control stuff from earlier.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this one here. We were talking about earlier about like how like this kind of fits the kind of the post-apocalyptic survival genre. So we had to haul the bodies away in the morning. Apparently the dead ones will attract more during the night. So we had to get them away from exchange. We have a couple of those trolley things they use to move big boxes around. So we loaded them up and took them over to pickup. You know, I kind of want to use this as like fodder. Like the more I kept reading this, the more I wanted to use this for fodder for like an alternative setting, like a Carcosa-esque retail Red Markets game. And for anybody who doesn't know, Red Markets is a economic zombie horror game. So like the default setting is the zombie apocalypse happened, but it was like uneven. So like everyone in North America or in the US, everything east of the Mississippi River is safe because the zombies couldn't cross the Mississippi River, and the government managed to like kind of chokehold that area. But everything west of the Mississippi is a post-apocalyptic like zombie wasteland that the American government has just kind of forsaken. And so you live as somebody inside that area, trying to basically etch out a living in the zombie infested wasteland, and like trying to help your enclave, your settlements, with various tasks, and while I'm also making money so that you can eventually buy your way out of the post-apocalypse and into the dystopian safe zones. So I could kind of, and like the game is pretty good for like managing like an sort of an economic post-apocalypse sort of genre. I could easily see like using this as the setting for a Red Markets game. Like just basically the casualties or the zombies in that game are basically just the staff.
Yeah.
And then you can have like even like unique staffers that are just because like they're different, like they're different mutations of them.
Was this Left 4 Dead now?
Yeah, a little Left 4 Dead. Well,
Yeah.
again, like there's the aberrants in Red Markets, which are like the special zombies.
Yeah, they'd be like the manager and
exactly a manager, or like the back, like the guys that are used to like heavy lifting, so they're big and like they're tanky.
called the stalker.
The stalker. It's STOC. Yeah, I legitimately,
which is also a April Fool's joke from Warframe at one point.
Nice.
Where they had the stalker just holding some boxes.
I'm not gonna lie, I have used that before in a game about like a post-apocalyptic retail Carcosa game.
This isn't the first time you thought about doing this.
No, absolutely not. Again,
okay.
see my Wally World non-flashback stuff. Like I've had a couple of things I wanted to vent off my chest after working at Walmart. And like like I had, we're like in the back room, like stock area. There's like these like gas masked like monstrosities known as the stalkers.
Yeah.
But it's like the stalkers from like the stalker zone, or the zone stalkers from like the video game Stalkers: Shadows of Chernobyl. But it's
I haven't played that one.
Oh, it's basically like people going into like into the strange anomaly ridden area of called the zone, but it's basically like where Chernobyl is, and like apparently Chernobyl created like weird anomalies in physics and such.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, back to this red market thing. Yeah, basically just use like you could use enclave generation for like creating the settlements for people to live in. And then, like, again, the casualties in red markets could just be the staff members.
Yep.
You're playing a taker, so you're playing a person that has to go out during the day and like get a certain thing from like maybe it's like area, like they want somebody in the settlement wants this specific thing, but it's like a little bit like out of the safe like distance, so you have to like kind of risk going out in even during the night to like get this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could easily be like used as like an idea for a red markets alternatives campaign.
It's very gameable.
Yeah, very gameable. And then the next thing here, the motto for this place should be, how is that even possible? Surely someone somewhere must be looking for the thousands of people that must be in here.
That's a really long motto.
Yeah. God damn it. For clarity, the motto was, how is that even possible? Period.
Sure. You believe what you want to believe. I'll believe
Sure.
what I want to believe.
Fair. And like again, we find out like why like there's so many people in this space and like no one's like talking about it outside. But my initial thing was like, I mean, it's almost like a secretive organization is keeping this whole thing under wraps. And even before the foundation showed up, there are things like the missing 411 where people just were like dozens upon hundreds of people go missing in national parks across the North America every year.
Yeah.
And like inexplicably, or like people with those people, like they turn their back for 2 seconds, look back, the person's gone. That's a real thing that happens.
Yeah.
Like it is so bizarre, but like that kind of it's like almost like paramundane or like ultra mundane like mystery. And most of those people are never found again,
Yeah.
like or just like bits of them are found sometimes. It's like, what the fuck's going on in those national parks?
I watched a movie somewhat recently called Wind River, which is about this I think it's up in Alaska or something. It's way up north. There's snow everywhere. Basically it's of a woman that died mysteriously or went missing or something, and you have to find out what happened and all that, and through someone else going missing and dying potentially. But either way, by the end of it, it basically says that it's based on a real story first off, and it says that up there's so many like not even registered accounts of people going missing. Like people go missing, but they don't actually count them as missing people. They're just gone, and for some reason it doesn't count towards the national like tally of missing people up there.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie The Fourth Kind, which is about the similar abduction, like disappearances and abductions of people in Alaska, in like I think in Anchorage or like Nome, Alaska. The movie uses like explains it as like, oh, it's alien abductions, but a lot of like, because like there is a lot of cases that are usually just chalked up to like the person got drunk, wandered off the wrong road, and vanished into the tundra, maybe died of exposure, and then just got buried by drifting snow.
Yeah.
Like it is very likely that like just outside of like some of these like towns and stuff like that in Alaska, there's just a field of bodies. They've just been like been covered with like drifting snow. Yeah, no, it's absolutely horrifying. But like, yeah, like that kind of shit is like happens all the time. So like I wasn't too thrown off, but like, okay, like maybe like thousands of people going missing and stuff like that, even before we get the explanation that like, oh, they're from different realities. I was like, I mean, that's not too hard to believe given like some of the other like true crime disappearance stuff I've watched and looked at and like the statistics. It would definitely be abnormal, especially if it's supposedly this is all coming from like one building that the SCP Foundation has on lockdown.
Yeah.
But
Well, this SCP Foundation in this reality has this one on lockdown, yes, but there's one in all of those other people's realities as well.
yeah, every reality has an IKEA.
Yeah.
I was trying to do like a Freddy Krueger, like that, because it's like every town has an Elm Street. Ha 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 ha. I think that's from like one of the movies or the TV show.
Probably.
Yeah. Also, I should have actually done it like in that. I'm not sure if it's like horribly stereotypical, but it's like that the IKEA commercials is like, "Welcome to IKEA." It's just like every neighborhood has, every multiverse has an IKEA.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, I digress. I'll move on to the next thing. And this is from the note about the drone by the Foundation, like that kind of is between two of the logs. Analysis of footage shows a walled settlement under the sign labeled "Exchange" and "Returns." Attempts to relocate the settlement failed. Origin of previous sighted drones is unknown. So at first I was confused, like, wait, they're attempting to relocate the settlement? I was like, no, they're trying to relocate, like as in try and re-find the settlement again.
With more drones, yeah.
With other drones, yeah. And then like they apparently like that they were able to like pinpoint the use of the one drone from the journal entries, but they weren't able to figure out about the other drones. So like
from the sounds of it, they don't know who sent the other drones.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, like it might be like another SCP Foundation in another reality, or like another organization in another dimension.
They're not all necessarily called SCP.
Yeah.
But yes.
So when I read this though, like when I finally when I clicked, it's like, oh no, they're trying to they can't find the settlement again. It's like, oh god, that's even worse in terms of like trying to get out of here. Like, just imagine like like from ground level, like when you're on the floor basically of this IKEA building, you are unaware that the place is shifting its spaces around you, including moving you and your entire like settlement. So
I don't know if that's the case.
I think it might be. I mean, if it's not, that it's the implication there, like the kind of the insinuation or the even like the idea that like it sprung in my head. It was like, oh my god, they're trapped in a roguelike. Like, can you imagine, like, you walk out of your settlement, like, and you go like a day out to go scavenge, and you come back and you can't find your settlement again.
That's not what a roguelike is, but
I thought roguelikes were like basically they're randomly generated like levels.
They are, but it's randomly generated for that run, but it doesn't keep randomizing. A roguelike is basically just it's real life. If you die, you're dead, and you have to restart.
Yeah. And then you have to like, and then the levels change based off like on the next run.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah. If you go back to a previous room in the same run, it's not necessarily going to be completely different.
Oh, okay.
It's specifically just your life and having to restart.
That said, if that is actually the trigger for shifts in the building, is like every time a survivor dies, the area, the geography changes. The map reloads and the map shifts. Like, that would be kind of fucked up.
A little bit.
It's like it's just one big blood sacrifice. It's like a blood ritual, basically.
Yeah. What I think is happening though is in regards to them not being able to find them again.
Yeah.
When you enter the -1 IKEA, you enter at a random location.
Yeah. That
as soon as you can't find it.
Yeah, as soon as you said that they clicked there. Yeah,
because they specifically say that they can go to the other places. They can go to checkout.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do think though that would be like a next level like escalation of like you're fucked. It's just like you leave your settlement for like a day, and because you're outside of like the area of like shift, you lose your settlement. You have to basically like, well, I guess I'm not going there again. I guess I'm fuck.
Yep.
And you wouldn't know exactly like what it was happening initially, or like you wouldn't even know what the boundaries are like. So Yeah, that would be really fucked up. And then regarding the journal logs about the increasing staff attacks. So again, I know it explains that a piece of the staff member of a staff member was found in a box on the wall, and that's why, and that they didn't like take it away, and like apparently even like a piece of these things like send these guys like frenzying even more and harder. But it had me wondering, again, had me musing, maybe this place and its staff have like a culling cycle. So like earlier in the log, there were survivors from a settlement that was hit really hard, and the survivors had to flee to Exchange and other settlements. And then Exchange, as time went on, gathered more and more people, like more and more like passerbys or more survivors who came, or people who came into the IKEA or found their way into the IKEA and into this location. So maybe the staff attacks are a way of controlling the population and organization of humans in this reality. For some like perhaps unidentified purpose, like maybe it's even like a similar case to like the staff members and their attacks are like the IKEA's immune system, and like when too many humans congregate in the same space, the staff take greater and greater actions to remove this infection of humans.
I mean, it straight up says in this. I mean, first off,
I know it does say, yeah.
That is very cool, but it does say that they basically in the supplies they got there was a piece of a staff member in it.
Yeah, no. I understand that that's what it is, but like again, I can't help but like throughout this entire story, I couldn't help but like muse like alternatives.
Yes, but speaking about those supplies,
Mhm.
it never, unless I missed it, it never went into detail about them being like, "Oh shit, someone put a dead staff member in this. Someone's trying to kill us." Like they just got supplies from somewhere else, and it has a staff member in it. They put it in there.
I see. I actually thought that it was like during like one of the last attacks or like one of the attacks, like they lopped off an arm or something, and it like fell into or like they lopped off like a finger or a hand, and it fell into a box, and like that a box of supplies, and they just never like checked that box.
Double check it, but the vibe I got is they came back with supplies, and in the bottom of the supplies there's a freaking piece of a staff member.
That makes it like that. There's much more. There's something sinister and like going on in this apparently cordial, idyllic society they've created. Somebody's actively trying to like sabotage settlements.
I have it here.
Yeah.
Okay. I have it here. We finally figured out why the attacks had been escalating too. A box of supplies had a chunk of one of the staff in there. No idea how it happened, but apparently a piece of one will draw them as well as a full body.
Yeah. So they never explain why it's there, but
no. Like it's possible that through the attack some piece just flew off. Yeah, but maybe,
it could also be sabotage.
Yeah, so maybe it's not as cordial as he said.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, yeah, it leaves like, again, if there was a sequel to the story, or if like we get like another like journal entry or something like that, we could even like it's like maybe there's like a cult inside like within the human population that like is all about basically like culling the other humans in this place. Maybe they're the ones that perceive like humans in this place as an infection, and the staffers as an immune system.
Yeah,
that could be like that could be interesting. That basically in a Red Markets game, that would basically be the meek faction, where like they worship the zombies and think that like the zombies should be zombies. The zombies are the dominant species now of the earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is definitely, there's room right there for like a more sinister vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
Or again, it could just been like a horrible, just unforeseen accident that like a chunk of one of the staffers got like fell into a box while they were during one of the attacks. Like it could be either
just some asshole over at checkout named Keith or something that just
Keith
put a piece in there.
That guy. Yeah. There's got to be even references like, I'm surprised there's not a that guy in our settlements, and it's like, no, we found them. Keith from checkouts.
Yeah,
that guy. He's like, man, that exchange settlement's getting a little too big for its britches. Time to drop them down a peg. I'm just gonna.
They've been taking a lot of our supplies. If they just weren't there anymore,
Or if we got
More
if we
supplies.
or if any of their if they were just to be hit by it like so hard that like a bunch of their a couple of their survivors had to like come rush to us, we'd look like the heroes here. Taking them in, and like, you know, we have a little bit more of a labor force here. Fucking Keith.
Sorry to all the Keiths out there.
I'm not. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, that's fair.
No, we're just picking on the name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is honestly my last actual thought. So, Mikey, D stands for evil.
I liked that the people have different memories.
Yeah.
So, which sort of hints at it being multiple realities. Which is nice. Yes.
Sliders.
Yeah, like the show. Yeah, the show. But it's like slipping into different alternate realities.
I'm just asking because all I heard was slap.
Yes, I tried to do that like that whispery, like the way they do it in the opening. It's like
Yes.
sliders.
Mm-hmm.
Which so the alternate realities is kind of neat to think about. So that this is a multi-dimensional IKEA.
IKEA transfer. IKEA surpasses all realities.
And then thinking about it, what if this is actually a like the IKEA targets specific people.
Oh yeah, like
he
kind of
become
hinted at.
inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
they were the lucky
that
ones. Sorry.
Well, but it's a prison of sorts.
Mhm.
So with that thought process, like, what if this IKEA is a member of the Supernatural Task Force? And
This is hell.
Bad people now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
wait, so is this IKEA dimension just like hell? It's the new wave of hell, like aesthetic. It's just, oh my god. I mean, that isn't entirely unfounded. Like that is
like murderers have to go shopping too, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not. That's why everybody's so cordial. Is like they're all secretly like it was all insidious and cordial at the same time. Like they're all acting like nice and friendly because they're all fucking serial killers.
Yeah. It's why it's so easy for them to kill the staff members.
Yeah, and like they don't want to kill each other because they sense their own. Oh my god.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It makes dollars even.
Wow. You went there.
I did.
How very capitalist of you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about red markets, a retail store of infinite with an infinite dimensional like interior. So, like, I guess it fits.
Yeah. And then this story also gave me sort of Walking Dead vibes.
Yeah.
Because like during the day, zombies just shambling around, they're not really much of a threat. But at night, they go towards where the noise is and the light and whatnot. So
isn't that also like a mechanic
zombie thing?
Well, not everywhere. Although
Minecraft
isn't that
even?
Yeah, in Minecraft, yeah. But isn't that also like a main like? Isn't that like a main factor for the zombies in Dying Light, the video game?
Yeah.
Like they're not they're bad during the day, but they're not like horror. Like they're not. It's not like terrifying.
They're like shamblers
so much.
in the day, and then they turn into like the rushers at night or whatever.
Yeah. They go from shamblers to rushers, or and then like specials ones come out during the night as well. And then like I think in the second one, like they've evolved again, so like they hide from the sunlight during the day, and then like at night, that's when they all like kind of shamble out. Like they all kind of like come hoarding out of their various layers.
Oh, really?
Their UV lights hurt them in way more effectively in the second game, from what I understand. But yeah, So even more so, I guess, than for like that kind of fits the bill. Again, like I was saying, like I was saying post-apocalyptic genre. I guess I really meant like zombie post-apocalyptic genre, because like it does kind of share that. Like I was definitely thinking Walking Dead in some degrees with this, because like it's your survivors trying to survive against these horrible humanoid monsters that get more violent at night. So like you're building up fortifications. So.
Yeah. So my next note here is they're just skin or something that looks like skin all the way through.
You were like, you took that literally like it's just skin. They're just skin. Like
Well, that's what it
Well,
says.
I know, but I think
yeah.
I definitely I definitely read I read that initially, and then I think like I kind of got the idea that like it's more like their skin, like there's like a thick layer of skin on the outside, and then on the inside it's just hollow men kind of thing.
No, it says all the way through.
Okay, so yeah,
They are a solid mass
of skin-like material.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's equally horrifying then. Like, so again, they're just fucking they're skin mannequins.
Like mannequins are actually hollow, I believe.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
They're not solid plastic, heavy.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And thinking about it, that they're really thick-skinned, so they won't take your insults.
Yep.
Also,
Nice.
they're skin golems.
Gross.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So my next point here, thought about shoving it or something to get its attention, but its hands were big enough to crush a watermelon, so I decided against it. I'm thinking, how big of hands are we talking here? To be big enough to hold a watermelon and to crush it.
It probably means like both hands, or maybe like one hand could just pick up a watermelon and squish it. I don't know.
Oh God! Again, like we're getting that they're like weirdly malformed, like DK mode sort of like body, like sort of like form, like bodies, like short legs, lanky like big arms, and or lanky arms and big hands. So like they're like weirdly like cartoonish, but also it's flesh, so it's horrifying. It's like when you like make like certain cartoon characters in real life and they're horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like also for your it's like, is it two hands or is it one hand large enough to crush it? Porque las dos? Why not both? Why not have? Because like there is also seems to be a variation. Like they're not the staff members also. Yeah, they aren't clones. They do have like kind of variation to like their shapes and their sizing.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And that's the end of my actual thoughts.
Okay. Gamer.
That's me. Okay.
That's me. Yeah.
So I'll just read this quote. This is actually pretty fitting because it's talking about the staff's appearance. SCP-3008-2 are humanoid entities that exist within SCP-3008-1. While superficially resembling humans, they possess exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions, often described as being too short or too tall. They possess no facial features, and in all observed cases wear a yellow shirt and blue trousers consistent with the IKEA employee uniform. So, a number of weeks ago, you basically told us about the IKEA SCP very briefly, right?
Yeah.
Right around when I started playing Guilty Gear Strive, and soon after I started looking into mods for the game on PC. One of them happening to be an SCP-3008 skin for the character named Faust.
Oh my God.
Giving him a yellow IKEA shirt and blue pants. and he's the creepy character of the game. So I figured,
course.
okay, maybe the modder just like likes creepypasta, so he put it in on the creepy character, and it doesn't necessarily match 1-to-1 with the way he looks. But no, surprisingly, it's pretty spot on that character, like as one of these staff members, because Foss is really
Oh.
tall, really lanky, has exaggerated proportions, and you never see his face.
Oh my god. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Google images right now of it.
Yeah, Foss is fucked up. I actually sent you
Yeah, you did send me this. I
a
remember
while
this
ago.
now.
I'll
Yeah.
send it to Mikey as well. Of the Fost SCP 3008 mod.
God, I also think his doctor, like his doctor outfit, is also just kind of horrifying.
Yes, it's a doctor outfit, which is not very SCP, but that's just his normal.
Although
It's
honestly,
just a reskin, basically.
Honestly, that image could just be an SCP entity. Like Foss
Yeah,
just
pretty
could
much.
be an SCP entity.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's straight fucked up. He's been getting more and more fucked up as the games go on, to be honest. Because
Nice.
before he was just like, he was the weird character, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he's the Valdo of Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been getting. He's been weird the entire time until the newest game, where he is straight up fucked up.
Yep.
And like, I need to get into the story and find out why he's so fucked up. But that's neither here nor there. Either way, having that as a visual going into this was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Because, like, it gave me a visual to these that's pretty damn clear.
Yeah.
Like, it does a good job explaining it, but having it connect, being like, oh, it looks just like that, basically, like, including the big fucking hands, even. Like,
Yeah. And honestly, like
was
if
neat.
you Google image SCP-3008, you almost all of everything is about the staff members.
Yeah.
And like,
Because
yeah,
otherwise, it's just a normal IKEA. Sorry, a regular old IKEA.
a normal, regular old IKEA, just infinite space of IKEA, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think SCP 3008-2 definitely like ramps up the horror of this, because otherwise it's just a weird story, like a weird space. Like it's not malicious,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the addition of the inhabiting like entities of the staff make it way more terrifying.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like it would be bad enough
Being trapped in
but-
that IKEA.
Yeah.
Also, I'm seeing some images of like people thinking that like the staff members are former people who get turned into SCP-3008 too.
Ooh.
But like
Like what I suggested.
yeah, what you suggested, and honestly, like I'm surprised that wasn't like revealed in the story in the entry or the journal, like that like one of the bodies of the dead survivors started turning into an employee.
Mm.
But yeah, it kind of has like a backrooms thing where like people who have gotten stuck in the backrooms long enough eventually become the monsters in the backrooms. It's just so horrifying. For the audience at home, Gamer keeps sending posting images of Faust in SCP or in IKEA uniform.
There's only two. Keeps. It's only two.
You two is enough. He's terrifying.
Yeah, I know. One more.
Yeah. Oh god.
This is his evolution of through the
my
games. That's him in the original game, and then some other game, and then the
wow,
second most recent one, and then he got dark.
He really just I mean, even from get go, he's just like, what the fuck is wrong with that man?
Yeah.
But
he's like a super good surgeon that like I forget what happened.
So his name is Faust, so I'm assuming he's based off the old story of the surgeon who made a deal with the devil to save a life.
I did not know of that.
It's actually I think it's a German novel, or it might be a play. Yeah, it's a play. It's not. That's where we get like the Faustian bargain. Faust is a protagonist of a classic German legend based on the historical Johann Georg Faust. And yeah, he basically makes a deal with the devil to like save a life, but he damns his soul in the process.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for him, but
Yeah, but it's yeah.
Mhm. Neat.
Mhm.
But either way, that's not IKEA, so we'll move on.
Yeah, it's German. It's German folklore, not Swedish.
We're like 2 levels deep in the
We really are.
in the tangents.
Yeah.
So
Any minute now, those tangent police are just gonna like just burst down the door.
Mhm.
So let's continue. Sorry.
Yes. So I kind of brushed on this, but I'll just read this just because this is how I came to this conclusion. So Nair? Is he technically the narrator? He is of the journal. Whatever.
That's why I'd call him the journalist, because
Okay.
he technically is the one who journaled this.
So Jern,
Yeah.
he finds beds, sleeps, and then he finds a restaurant, and he says, blah blah blah. They're still warm and fresh. I don't know who could have cooked them. Made my way back to the beds before lights out. This is too dark and all that. Which, when he first did that, I was like, how did he find his way back? Because earlier it said, I realized that this wasn't the case and I tried to backtrack, everything had changed, so I ended up lost. Instead, the exit was a row of bookcases. So originally I did think it was like what you suggested, Cultist, where the world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went back to the same bed,
Yeah.
that's what made me click in to be like, okay, he just loaded into the new map, and this is the map, and you can actually navigate it.
Fair.
This part, I was thinking last night, the ceiling on this place is pretty high. Well, first off, he doesn't mention the fucked up ceiling
He
ever.
really
Before
doesn't.
it,
Yeah.
I figured that would be one of the biggest things to notice right away, that you can't see the damn ceiling.
Like maybe like there's like a like as soon as you walk into the IKEA, you're not looking at you're not looking up, you're maybe like looking at something, and you walk a little bit further in, and you look up and it's like, holy fucking moly. I'm just like,
Yes.
see like this like kilometers high like ceiling.
But he was out there for like what, a week?
Yeah, and he
never
mentioned. He never once mentions.
No, like
fact that the
he
ceiling is
never,
super
for
high.
example, laid on his back in a bed, looking up at the
Yeah.
ceiling.
Yeah, he legitimately.
If nothing else, he would have noticed it first night.
Yeah.
Regardless, I was thinking last night, the ceiling of this place is pretty high. As far as everyone can tell, it goes on forever. Shouldn't there be some kind of weather in here? I'm sure I read about some NASA building that was so big that it had its own weather patterns with clouds and stuff. Have either of you heard of this?
I have not. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
NASA weather
I've
building.
been meaning to look it up, but
You
he's
didn't.
talking about it with such a surety.
The VAB. The VAB is so large, in fact, that it has its own weather. On humid days, rain clouds can form below the ceiling, requiring about 10,000 tons of air conditioning equipment to control the moisture. With this setup, the total volume of air in the building can be replaced in only 1 hour, and that is the NASA Vehicle Assembly Building.
That's why it's so tall, because they're making
making
rocket ships in it.
Yeah. Thank you, Atlas Obscura, you beautiful, beautiful website of weirdness.
Wow. How tall is that building? Does it say there?
Let's find out. See if there's anything more details on the information.
It's gotta be...
Holy moly! At an astonishing 160 meters or 525 feet for us Canadians, tall, 218 meters or 716 feet long, and 158 meters or 518 feet wide. The VAB covers an area of 8 acres and encloses a volume of about 3,600,065. I don't know if I'm doing this right. 3665000 cubic meters. or 129,428,000 cubic feet.
It's a lot.
Yeah, to get an idea of how large that is, the total volume of the VAB is about 3.75 times that of Manhattan's Empire State Building. That's enough space to fit the volume of the Pentagon inside, and have plenty of room left over.
Wow.
That's the first that's like the second paragraph of the VAB's entry on Atlas Obscura.
Very cool.
And that is and the VAB is in Titusville, Florida. A building so large that it has its own weather. That's crazy. That's
and at only 500 feet, I was expecting higher.
Yeah. I mean, 500
like skyscrapers go higher than that, right? I guess
yeah,
it's just because they're
skyscrapers
not all open inside.
So skyscrapers do go higher than that in some cases, but also clouds do form below the top of skyscrapers.
Yeah, and the reason that they form inside the building is because it's an open building.
Yeah.
It's not all these tiny little rooms that don't have enough space to actually do anything. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Also, yeah, airplanes travel. I was like, wow, because I've heard like, and we'll be traveling at 500 feet. And I was like, I've heard that before, like for airplanes and stuff. Oh yeah, no, at 5. Okay, no, that's at 15,000 feet.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's a little different, just a smidge. Just a smidge.
That's like going 3rd and Main in Hot Shots.
Yeah. Jesus.
But either way.
Yeah.
I will move on to my last one.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently some of the people here have some seriously odd gaps in their knowledge. 3 of them had never heard of the International Space Station. 2 of them seemed to think Redacted was the Prime Minister, and one of them had apparently never heard of the Statue of Liberty. I believe them too. They seemed just as confused as the rest of us. Why didn't he ask them what year it was?
What year is it?
Yeah, because I want to know if there was time fuckery going on here too, or
honestly,
if it's just like weird dimension fuckery.
Yeah, honestly, that was my first my first go-to is like, so does this thing like, are people getting lost in here from like different from like the past? Like, how's that possible? Is it IKEA just like pop up in like pre Statue of Liberty?
I'd say it's like what you said before. It's always what it's going to be for whatever time period it is.
Yeah, it's
a general store in the Wild West. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's exactly. It's a general goods store, or like if it's in a major city, like it's a it just happens to be like some kind of like quirky shop in like a back alley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone asking a year would be cool.
Yeah, that would have been like just to get a vibe. I was like, okay, like though they're from our they're from the strange thing is I asked them like what year it was, because like some of them were like they didn't know what the Statue of Liberty is. Like, what the fuck? Like, are they from like the 1800s or like the 1700s or something? But no, they're from the 20th century. So maybe it's different worlds. Like, and then we go into Sliders mode, which was, I think that was like the reveal in Sliders was like they thought they were time traveling because like there was like dimensions, or there was like realities they were going to that were like had dinosaurs and stuff. But then it turned out it was just alternate Earths. Like they were all just like a multiverse. It was just like a multiverse. Like they were sliding into.
Neat.
Yeah.
Also, I'm really curious what the redaction is for the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
I tried highlighting it. It did not give me the information.
I know. Yeah. That's why like when we did Miss Sweetie, that's why I didn't bother like highlighting the redacted part for the one
Mr.
redacted.
Lie.
Yeah, Mr. Lie, because I just assumed they used like the black bar like widget rather than like actually like blacked out the name.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time they do that. So
yeah. Who is it? I could count the characters.
You could count the characters, and then we just
be some random guy. With
yeah,
that
exactly.
name.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a celebrity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah. I don't think this is like the mythos, the monolith mythos, where like, there's like a famous. So the monolith mythos is like is a analog horror series I've actually caught on recently, thanks to Matt from Drunk and the Ugly, and it's like basically all the American monoliths, like the Mount Rushmore, the Statue of Liberty, like stuff like that, they're all secretly containment facility, like containment sites for like eldritch abominations.
Oh, really?
And they all like have like dark things tied to them, and like there's like the videos of the monolith mythos are basically like kind of like instructional explanationary videos for the different monoliths of what they're used for and what their purposes are. But it also goes into like some more alternate history kind of thing, because like at one point in like the 60s or something like that, Dean, who's the famous actor who died young, something Dean.
James
Dean, yeah. James Dean becomes president of the United States in that universe, and he's like, basically he's like the best president, because he's like, everyone loves him. Like he had, like, he was going up against Nixon, and Nixon, like, he, after a phone call with him during the elections, Nixon dropped out of the elections and like voted for him.
Wow.
Like, yeah,
He's just such a good guy.
Yeah. Because in the monolith mythos' reality, James Dean didn't die. In fact he went from being an actor to being the president of the United States, and being super cool.
Not that he wasn't super cool before.
No, but he was like the best president, because he was like the coolest president.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that kind of like alternate reality fuckery, like kind of stuff. So like, yeah, going back to this, like the prime minister, for some reason, like I don't know, like. I don't know why, but it's like, for some reason, as soon as I saw like this, like, oh, like redacted was prime minister, I immediately just went to like Justin Trudeau, like, even though that is our prime minister, but like for some reason that's like the first thing that popped into my head. Maybe it's just because like he's our current prime minister, but
I think this is in.
It might be in the UK too. So
it is in the UK.
Yeah. Okay.
They say torches.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't use torch. We don't call flashlights torches.
Mm-hmm.
That is very UK.
Yeah, that's the notes.
Okay. And with that wild tangent-ridden actual thoughts out of the way,
that is what we do.
I guess we'll move on to final thoughts. So, yeah, if it's not obvious by now, I really loved the idea behind this one.
The IKEA behind this one?
Yeah. Ha. You son of a bitch.
Don't laugh at stuff that isn't funny. How dare you?
I liked it.
Oh, okay.
And even the execution of the entry and then the journal was like really fun to like, because when I dove into it, I was like, oh no, like I was like, for some reason there was a part of me that was like kind of worried when like we got this like long journal after the short entry, and it's like, no, this is actually really good. Like this is actually really like fun like journal to read into and stuff. Again, another weird concept that I feel is also really rife for creepiness, and it also does it on its own, I feel. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend this one still, like, and potentially even, again, as is my way, maybe use it for for gameable material in the future.
This is the way.
This is the way. But Mikey, these stands for evil. Your recommendations and thoughts.
Well, I'd like that they use the it's bigger on the inside physics.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about an interdimensional being, it really is bigger than anyone can comprehend. So that's something that I like about this, is that we get basically Doctor Who physics, but it's not Doctor Who.
Yeah. It's
Dr. What?
It's Dr. Y.
And then the weird monsters, which are essentially zombies, I sort of like, because I got the Walking Dead sort of feel from this.
Yeah.
I
didn't realize that I didn't realize that they get like more dangerous at night in Walking Dead. But
just zombies in general. Like
yeah.
I think the main thing is that this felt like it could be a TV show.
Yeah. Kind of like what it says.
So I like that aspect. It was an enjoyable read. So I'm still going to recommend this.
All right. Also, just like back on that TV thing, just like from a logistics point of view, it would be probably fairly like cheap to produce because you'd only really need like you'd probably need like a large like studio space that is modular. So basically like a space that you can like easily like move set pieces around and stuff like that to basically create this like sense of like a maze like infinite IKEA space. Or
just
like
with,
retail
a green
space.
screen on the back to
Or yeah.
Actually, would you have to?
I'd say
have
like
to
green.
make it look infinite. That's the thing.
Yeah, I would say like green screen on like the outer walls and like the roof, and then the like the ground and like the like basically just have the ground be like a uniform tile space, and then just have like easily movable like aisles and other like kind of like large scale like scene props to kind of like for the rest of it, and then just use CGI to help elevate the sense of like infinite space and like the high lofty roofs and stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you said you would recommend this one, Mikey?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gamer.
I really liked it as well. I really liked the whole like slice of life that the story has, showing the people surviving and helping each other and being like, hey, people aren't actually assholes like the TV shows us all. And but even though, yeah, they might be because someone apparently put a body part in a.
It could have been happened. It could have been like an unfortunate turn of events or like a happenstance. It could have been. Yeah, you're just seeing the evil in people, right? Whereas these guys are like realizing that no, people aren't as bad as we all think they are.
I'm not just believing it. I'm just like, I'm being careful.
Yeah,
I'm preparing for the worst, but I'm expecting the best.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Either way, I like how they're. Actually, I just talked about that. Blah 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 blah. The creatures are good. They're scary. They're Faust. Basically.
For a second, I was like, they're fast, or did you just say fast weird? Oh, right, Faust. Yeah,
they're basically him. Although they vary, some of them are like super small, some of them really tall, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Actually, again, Google Images has like a couple that are like, basically, it looks like a roster of like specialized zombies.
Nice. Very cool. And there seems to be infinite of them for some reason because they just have piles of bodies that just don't go away. Yeah,
the IKEA just creates more.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps from previous victims. Who knows?
Yeah, like this story leaves me asking a lot of questions, but not in a way that's pissing me off. There's some things where it's like, yeah, they should have answered that or they should have brought it up earlier, but most of it are just interesting thoughts being like, where do they come from? How is there infinite, you know?
Yeah.
But stuff like, you should have noticed that there's no ceiling early on, you know, that should have been established.
No. Yeah. Maybe you should have like put that in your notes. Just like, why is the ceiling so fucking high?
Maybe it's because it's dark. I'm tired. He wakes up in the morning, it's like, nope, there's no ceiling. Roll sand. Yeah, overall, I still like it for sure. There's so few issues, quote unquote, that it does not affect my enjoyment of the story. So yeah, I still fully recommend it.
Okay. Shit. Good job, Mortos. Okay, well, that'll be this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah.
It's almost infinite, much like this IKEA.
A little bit, yeah. It goes on much longer than what Twitter allows. It's not just the W that's missing.
Yes. Does that mean that your name's like spelled like a Welsh name?
Yes.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCP entries, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Select the backer tier you'd like to help support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because if we didn't have you, if you weren't listening, it'd be like screaming into the void of an infinite IKEA space. And if you didn't write these stories, write these SCP entries, and share the weirdness and spookiness of them online for people to enjoy, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.